if they challenge their own worldview, then they're going to realize that their echo chamber is toxic and lying to them and manipulating them. And if they have to like realize that, then they're going to like break free from that. And then they're probably alone. And then they're going to also experience the full force of that echo chamber like turning against them if they start questioning things. I see so many crimes now of people being like, oh, you joked about Charlie Kirk's death. In retaliation, I'm going to like shoot up a pride event or something like that. Like, this keeps happening. The rhetoric is like so dangerous because like if you tell deranged people that there's a war and people are out to get them and they have to like fight back and do these things before they come after you, then of course more of these things are going to keep happening. That's just like how it works. You're riling people up and then it's like, oh, it's not promoting violence. You're giving deranged people the idea that they have to take up arms, that they have to do these violent crimes, you know, in order to save society. And then, you know, you see more and more crimes like that happening. And then it's like, no, actually, this was just like someone who was mentally ill and it was not a right-wing extremist. This was not, I don't know how you get the idea that that was like someone radicalized by right-wing ideology. Because, like, he was just hating trans people. He was just hating gay people. I don't know why you would get the idea that, like, someone, you know, going out of their way in order to, like, Mexicans and so on is actually someone who was indoctrinated by right-wing ideology. I don't know why you would, like, make this assessment to someone who is mentally ill. And then it's like, oh, this person actually looked at someone who might have been trans, and then it was actually, like, justified for them to, like, freak out. It's so stupid. It's like the hypocrisy that always gets me. You call out the blatant hypocrisy and people are like so unable to think and reevaluate their worldview that they are literally just going, no, actually, what you just said is not the case. It is actually like in a different way, which benefits my worldview more than it benefits yours, even though you explained in multiple ways why my thinking is wrong. I already made up my mind, so why would I like reevaluate my stance? If the world around me doesn't affirm my confirmation bias, then I'm just going to use AI to produce images of what I think is happening in the world. That's also the thing that I talked about here, right? Do you remember like the video that I made on John Money? It was like, this monster accidentally proved trans people right. I was like, John Money proved us right. I'm not saying that like, oh, John Money is actually like, he had like his thesis and it was correct. No. John Money had like the thesis that you could like, through social conditioning, change someone's gender. It is conversion therapy, basically, right? If I tell a trans girl that they're actually a boy, then and the environment is reinforcing that, then they're going to realize that they're just a boy. That is kind of like the theory that he had. And because that was wrong, obviously, he proved trans people right that this isn't like an ideology where you are being like indoctrinated. I don't know, it's like some social thing, right? It's like you see one trans person among 2,000 cis people and suddenly you become trans. Like, that's not how it works. It's not a virus that is spreading. So like in the video, I like explain this because like when you look for John Money, you see like a lot of transphobic accounts be like, oh, this is why they don't want you to know about John Money. This is why transgenderism is bad. Oh, he's the father of gender ideology. Right? Which is like obviously incorrect. So I decided I'm going to make a video on it and I'm going to explain what we can actually take away from the cruel and disgusting, experiment. But because I'm a trans person daring to mention the dude, despite having constantly people bring him up in order to invalidate me, I'm horrible and so on, right? I'm suddenly condoning it. People are just like twisting it. And it's like so fucking annoying because like you have like these weird echo chambers boosting these things, like twisting things. They're like, Nyara made this thumbnail where she talks about John Money. Isn't that crazy? And then people are like, oh, wow, that is like a file and you're like supporting that. That's insane. And it's like, you're just interpreting what you think I would say on the basis of you being transphobic and you know, obviously being incorrect and bigoted, and you're just like coming to the wrong conclusions, and then you don't want to like look at the video because you already made up your mind, and it like affirms your confirmation bias to think that I'm like evil and doing all the things that you are imagining that I'm saying and doing. So you are not even like giving me a chance to explain my stance, right? Which is like obviously really frustrating, and it sucks. And this like constantly happens with the transgenderism and the woke, which is like obviously the problem is because there's not enough pushback, or the pushback is not as vocal as like the misinformation, and people are like spreading lies. They have the seed implanted in them, and it's just like being nurtured. And they're using AI to be like, oh, the blue-haired or woke liberal is out to get you for daring to say words, and just like some AI image. And it's like, this is not happening. Nothing like this is happening. You're just like delusional. The same with like them taking like the things from like the 2-year-old like Netflix show that got canceled immediately because it apparently like sucked, bringing that up again in order to like make people mad again. The same with like them always bringing up the one drag queen in the last 10 years that did something horrible, and they're like, oh look, every day this is like happening, and it's literally like the same article, the same person that they've been using since like, I don't know, 2012. It's like really frustrating to have people like in these echo chambers, in these bubbles, you know, like come after you because it's like so draining and exhausting. I can't do more than literally like explain my stance and explain what I'm saying like in the videos. Right? I made this, for example. Oh, Nyara grooms kids. Children can be trans. Trans doesn't imply transition. I was a trans kid, even if I didn't know what trans meant. And I've shared my personal stories others relate to. You know, obviously people are like, oh, they don't believe that trans kids exist. Like, Darling Straub recently, where Rev says Dezu was like telling me that like I'm delusional for thinking that Straub is transphobic. And that's like, oh, trans children are not normal. We should not be confusing children. You should do better, not me, says the traditional Christian wife who got groomed into believing, you know, the anti-woke grift and the transgenderism lies. Conservatives are like grooming victims. Christians are grooming victims because you're like shaped from a really early age to be like, oh, you shouldn't question these things. You shouldn't, you should just like listen to the authority figures and whatnot in order to like spread this. The next one was like, oh, Nyara doesn't leave kids alone. I made a video with a purposefully controversial thumbnail where I talk about why trans representation education is important, especially for children who are trans. Nyara supports John Money. I would never defend the cruel and disgusting experiment of John Money. He gathered 2 children to prove his hypothesis that you can influence gender through social conditioning. This doesn't work. You cannot turn a boy into a girl. And I explained that this proves that you cannot turn a cis kid trans. And then people are like, they're seeing this, but they still can't comprehend the words that I'm saying because they are like so indoctrinated and brainwashed into believing these lies. But yeah, these are kind of like the issues that, you know, I struggle with, that I deal with as a trans creator who's being like mischaracterized, and people just never give me the benefit of the doubt because it's like so much easier to just like start hating on me instead of like actually challenging their own worldview. Because if they challenge their own worldview, then they're going to realize that their echo chamber is toxic and lying to them and manipulating them. And if they have to like realize that, then they're going to like break free from that. And then they're probably alone. And then they're going to also experience the full force of that echo chamber like turning against them if they start questioning things. Anytime you have like some transphobe who is like mischaracterizing me, and someone is like, well, you know, like I hate Nyara, but like, you know, she's still a woman. We can still use the right pronouns. So many people dunk on that person, jump on it because they're so offended. Someone like dared to use the right pronouns for me and not abuse me further. It's like, oh, we can hate Nyara without misgendering. People are ludicrous. Like, they're going after you so much for it. Like in these ecos, in these eco chambers. If they're pushing against like the popular narrative, then they're also going to get like punished for it. You know, it's like this, you're either with us 100% or you're against us. Which is like, you know, a form of purity testing that like right-wingers are always you know, saying like the left is doing. It's like, oh, the left, like you can't even agree to disagree on certain things. Like, oh, you're kicking people out of your social circles if they don't 100% align with you. And it's like, well, you know, like the things that we align on is like, oh, trans rights are human rights, Black Lives Matter, and so on. Like, these are the things that, you know, we agree on. And if something is there that someone doesn't agree on when it comes to like human rights and whatnot, they're going to get pushed back in order to be held accountable for certain things. But on the right, it's like, oh, you don't hate this person in the right way. You do not... few years ago, I had a conversation with a trans person, which I'm really glad about, because I don't think I would be around otherwise. So I'm really thankful for that moment. I mean, you know, like the willingness to learn and listen, that's really, really important.